Most people think they are bad at ChatGPT because their prompts are weak, but the real problem is deeper. They are using a 2026 workflow tool like a 2023 chatbot. They open a blank chat, ask one question, get one answer, copy the results, maybe edit a few lines, and move on. That was useful in the first phase of AI. It still works for quick tasks. But for creators, marketers, freelancers, SEO professionals, automation builders, and online business owners, that is no longer the highest value way to use ChatGPT. The shift is simple, but it changes everything. ChatGPT is no longer just a question and answer box. It is becoming a workflow layer. And that means the real advantage is not asking it to write a blog post, summarize this article, or give me 10 ideas. The real advantage is giving it context, a goal, source material, constraints, examples, quality standards, and a repeatable process. That is the part most people miss. They think the skill is prompting. But the deeper skill is workflow design. A chatbot gives you a response. A workflow helps you move from research to planning, from planning to execution, from execution to review, and from review to improvement. That difference sounds small until you apply it to YouTube research, SEO, content planning, client work, automation, email marketing, or online business. If you keep using ChatGPT like a chatbot, you keep getting isolated answers. If you use it like a workflow system, you start building processes that can improve over time. And that is the real point. This is not about writing longer prompts. It is not about making AI sound more human. It is about stopping the habit of treating ChatGPT like a conversation partner and starting to treat it as a working layer for knowledge work. The reason this matters now is that AI tools are clearly moving in this direction. They are becoming less like simple chat windows and more like connected work environments. ChatGPT projects can group chats, files, and instructions into focused workspaces. Canvas is designed for writing and coding projects that need editing, revision, and iteration. Agents are pushing AI from simple reasoning into action, where the system can help with multi-step tasks instead of only giving one answer. Connectors are becoming more important because they allow AI systems to work with information from tools like Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Slack, SharePoint, and other business systems, depending on availability, settings, and permissions. This direction tells us something important. The future of AI is not just asking better questions. The future is context, memory, tools, files, actions, and workflows. And this is not only happening with ChatGPT. Google's Gemini is moving deeper into research and workspace integration. Claude has artifacts for building and revising standalone work. Perplexity is built around cited answers and research discovery. The tools are different, but the trend is the same. AI is moving from generate text for me to help me complete work. That is why this matters for people who create, market, research, write, sell, optimize, and automate for a living. The old use case was content generation. The new use case is workflow acceleration. For a creator, this changes how you research topics, test angles, structure videos, repurpose content, and review scripts. For an SEO professional, it changes how you move from keyword discovery to search intent analysis, topical maps, content briefs, internal linking plans, and AI search optimization. For a freelancer, it changes how you package services. You are no longer selling only writing, research, design, or automation. You are selling a clearer system for getting work done. And for an online business owner, it changes repeated work, customer research, email sequences, landing page drafts, offer positioning, market analysis, internal documentation, and knowledge base updates. The important part is this: AI does not have to do every task perfectly for this to matter. It cannot. The value is that AI reduces the friction between steps. Before this shift, the workflow was usually scattered. You searched on Google. You saved links in a document. You copied notes somewhere else. You asked ChatGPT for ideas. You rewrote those ideas manually. You checked facts in another tab. You built a brief. You sent it to a writer, or used it yourself. Then next week, you tried to remember exactly what process you used. That is not a system. That is a pile of tasks. The new AI workflow is about connecting those tasks into a repeatable chain. And the people who understand that shift will use the same tools very differently from everyone else. In the old way, using ChatGPT was simple. You opened a chat and asked for an output. Give me 10 video ideas about AI tools. ChatGPT gave you 10 ideas. You picked one. Then you asked, write a script? It wrote a script. Then you asked, make it better. It made it better. That can work for simple jobs, but it is fragile. Because ChatGPT does not automatically know your channel positioning unless you provide it. It does not know your audience unless you define them. It does not know your previous content unless you give it examples. It does not know your quality standards unless you explain them. It does not know your workflow unless you structure it. So the output often becomes generic, not because the model is useless, but because the system around it is weak. A workflow-based approach starts differently. Instead of beginning with a blank prompt, you begin with an operating context. What is the goal? Who is the audience? What is the format? What sources are allowed? What examples should it learn from? What should it avoid? What is the decision criteria? And what happens after the output is created? This is where the workflow changes. You are not asking ChatGPT to create something from nothing. You are assigning it a role inside a process. For example, a YouTube workflow should not begin with, write me a script. It should begin with a chain. First, define the audience tension. What does the viewer already believe? What do they misunderstand? What fear, opportunity, or frustration makes this topic worth clicking? Second, analyze the topic. What is changing? Why does it matter now? Who benefits? Who is affected? What claims need evidence? Third, build a research brief. Collect the core facts, source-backed claims, risks, examples, and possible angles. Fourth, create the outline. Not a generic outline, but a structure that controls pacing, curiosity, and argument flow. Fifth, write the script only after the research and structure are clear. Sixth, review the draft. Check for unsupported claims, repetition, weak transitions, generic phrasing, and audience fit. Seventh, package the video. Create the title, description, thumbnail concept, chapters, tags, and pinned comment based on the actual argument of the script. That is a workflow, and it is very different from asking for a script in one prompt. The realistic benefit is not a guaranteed viral video. No AI workflow can promise that. The realistic benefit is a stronger first draft, faster research organization, fewer blank page problems, and a more consistent production system. But the creator still has to verify facts, judge the emotional angle, remove generic sections, and make sure the final script actually fits the channel. This same logic applies to SEO. In the old process, SEO often starts with a keyword tool, then a spreadsheet, then manual search result review, then content briefs, then writing. AI changes this by helping connect the steps. It can group keywords by search intent. It can compare competing page structures. It can identify missing subtopics. It can draft content briefs. It can suggest internal linking ideas. It can help audit whether a page clearly answers the questions a user is likely to ask. But this is not the same as letting AI do SEO. That is where many people get it wrong. SEO still depends on real search demand, competition, site authority, technical health, content quality, and user satisfaction. AI can help organize and accelerate the work. It does not magically create rankings. The realistic benefit is faster planning and better content briefs. The manual checking still includes keyword data, search results, source accuracy, originality, and whether the content actually deserves to rank. Now look at AI search optimization. Users are increasingly getting answers from AI systems, not only traditional search pages. Perplexity, Google AI features, ChatGPT search, and other answer engines are changing how information may be discovered. The user may not click through 10 links. They may ask a complex question and receive a synthesized answer with citations. For creators and businesses, that means content strategy has to think beyond traditional ranking. Is the page clear? Is it well structured? Does it answer specific questions? Does it include original information? Is it easy for both humans and AI systems to understand? Does it have credible sources, fresh information, author context, and semantic clarity? AI can help audit content for those qualities, but the manual work still matters. You still need real expertise, original examples, clear sourcing, and content that is not just a rewritten version of what already exists. For freelancers, this shift may be even more important. A beginner freelancer may use ChatGPT to write faster. A more advanced freelancer uses ChatGPT to build a client workflow. Instead of selling blog writing, the freelancer builds a system, client intake, audience analysis, competitor review, content brief, draft, optimization, revision, final quality check. ChatGPT helps at each stage. That makes the service more reliable. It also makes the value easier to explain, but it may disrupt freelancers who only sell generic output. If a client can get a generic draft from AI, the freelancer has to move up the value chain. Strategy, judgment, taste, research quality, positioning, and workflow management become more important. Now look at automation. The old automation model was mostly rule-based. If this happens, then do that. A new lead fills out a form. The lead gets added to a spreadsheet. An email is sent. A team member gets notified. That still matters, but AI adds interpretation. It can classify messages, summarize conversations, draft replies, extract fields from messy text, route tasks, analyze customer intent, prepare reports. This is powerful, but dangerous if poorly designed. An AI automation workflow needs boundaries. What can the AI decide? What needs human approval? What data can it access? What happens when confidence is low? What records are kept? Where can the system fail quietly? The realistic result is not full autopilot. It is assisted execution with guardrails, and for many businesses, that is enough to save time without handing over critical decisions. This is the pattern across almost every serious use case. AI handles structure, transformation, first-pass synthesis, and repeated work. Humans handle judgment, accountability, taste, priorities, and final decisions. Compared with manual work, ChatGPT workflows are faster at organizing information, generating drafts, transforming formats, summarizing long material, and creating structured starting points. Manual work is still stronger when the task depends on lived experience, negotiation, original reporting, sensitive judgment, or deep domain accountability. Compared with Google search, ChatGPT is better for synthesis. Google is still strong for discovery, source diversity, and checking original context. A search engine gives you pages. An AI assistant gives you a structured answer. But that answer can compress nuance. So, for serious research, the strongest workflow often combines both. Use AI to plan the research and summarize patterns. Use search and original sources to verify the claims. Compared with Perplexity, ChatGPT is usually more flexible as a workspace for drafting, editing, reasoning, and multi-step projects. Perplexity is more directly positioned around cited answers and research discovery. Compared with Claude, ChatGPT competes in a broader workflow ecosystem, especially when connected to projects, tools, agents, and business integrations. Claude is often valued for writing, reasoning, coding, and artifacts. Compared with Gemini, ChatGPT is not the only serious AI workspace. Gemini benefits from Google's ecosystem and its connection to Search, Gmail, Drive, and other Google products in supported contexts. The better choice depends on the task, the model available, privacy requirements, integrations, and the user's workflow. But the larger point is not which tool wins. The larger point is that all serious AI tools are moving in the same direction. They are becoming work systems, not just writing tools, not just answer boxes, not just chatbots. But before you build around this, there is one major limitation. A workflow can make ChatGPT more useful, but it can also make mistakes more scalable. If you use AI casually and it gives you one bad answer, the damage may be small. If you build a full workflow around unchecked AI output, the same mistake can spread across articles, emails, client reports, automations, or business decisions. That is the hidden risk. AI does not only accelerate quality, it accelerates whatever system you build. If the workflow is thoughtful, it can improve output. If the workflow is sloppy, it can produce polished mediocrity at scale. The first risk is outdated information. AI models and AI search systems may not always have the latest or complete context. Even when web access exists, retrieval can miss important sources. A model may summarize what it found, not everything that exists. The second risk is false confidence. AI often sounds more certain than it should. That is dangerous in SEO, legal topics, finance, health, technical documentation, and business strategy. A good workflow forces uncertainty into the open. It asks what is confirmed, what is assumed, what needs checking, and what should not be claimed. The third risk is generic content. If everyone asks the same AI tool for the same content, the internet fills with similar structures, similar phrases, and similar advice. That is especially dangerous for creators and marketers. The more AI content increases, the more human judgment, original examples, sharp positioning, and real expertise matter. The fourth risk is privacy. A workflow-based approach often involves more context, more files, more customer data, more internal documents, and more integrations. That can be useful. It can also be risky. Before uploading sensitive information or connecting tools, users need to understand the privacy settings, plan limitations, admin controls, and data policies of the platform they are using. The fifth risk is over-automation. Just because an AI agent can take an action does not mean it should. Creating tasks, sending messages, updating CRM fields, drafting replies, changing website content, or managing customer information can create real consequences. A serious workflow separates low-risk tasks from high-risk tasks. Low-risk tasks can be automated more freely. High-risk tasks need review. The sixth risk is confusing activity with progress. AI can generate endless drafts, strategies, summaries, and plans that can feel productive. But if none of it leads to a decision, a published asset, a tested offer, a better client outcome, or a measurable improvement, the workflow is just a more advanced form of procrastination. The goal is not to use more AI. The goal is to reduce friction between thinking and execution. If AI adds more noise, the workflow is broken, so the biggest lesson is simple. ChatGPT is no longer just a place to ask questions. It is becoming a place to run work. That does not mean it replaces creators, marketers, freelancers, SEO professionals, automation builders, or business owners. It means the baseline is changing. The old baseline was knowing how to prompt. The new baseline is knowing how to design workflows. A prompt is a request. A workflow is a repeatable system. A prompt gives you one output. A workflow improves how the output is produced, checked, revised, and reused. That is why stop using ChatGPT like a chatbot is more than a catchy line, it is a warning. If you only use AI for one-off answers, you will get one-off value. If you use AI to build research systems, content systems, SEO systems, automation systems, and decision systems, the value can compound. But it only compounds if the human stays in control. The future does not belong to people who blindly trust AI, and it does not belong to people who ignore it. It belongs to people who can turn messy work into clear systems, then use AI to make those systems faster, sharper, and easier to repeat. So the practical action is simple. Take one task you do every week, not 10 tasks. 1. Maybe it is researching a video, planning a blog post, preparing a client report, writing an email campaign, reviewing competitors, summarizing calls, building a content calendar. Break that task into stages. Define the input, define the output, define the quality standard. Define what AI can do, define what you must check. Then turn that into a reusable ChatGPT workflow. That is the shift, not chatbot, not magic employee, not autopilot, a workflow partner. And once you understand that, the way you use AI changes permanently. The people who win with AI will not be the people with the longest prompts. They will be the people with the clearest systems.